Hi everybody. I am going to do a IndigAthon vlog, and I just wanted to let you know that today is Friday, November 6th, and I'm going to be starting 21 Things You May Not Know About the Indian Act by Bob Joseph. And yeah, I'm going to be picking up my IndigAthon fiction read tomorrow from the library. So welcome to another reading vlog, and it's supposed to be a sunny weekend, so I hope that we can spend some time outside and really have a restful but productive weekend. So I will check in once I've gotten a ways through 21 Things You May Not Know About the Indian Act. Hi. So just read the first chapter, introduction and first chapter. And the first chapter covers the instituting or the setting up of the Indian Act and the basic tenets of how the colonialist government was trying to assimilate indigenous people at that time. So assimilate through land, assimilate through removal of culture, and assimilate through removal of traditional modes of governance. So setting up the band council system, which is based on the municipality system. So an election of a chief and then a council of advisors to that chief. And the issue with that was that there was not really any real power instituted to band councils. They were able to govern only through the power that the Canadian government gave them. So that's not really, it's basically eroding a traditional mode of being. And one of the most significant things that that system imposed was the complete removal of women's status in Indigenous communities. And so it made the power balance shift to men. It made women become essentially appendages. They were either appendages to white men if they married them, or appendages to Indigenous men. And all of their status as an Indian was prescribed by these arbitrary and racist rules that were set up by the government governing who could claim to have the status as an Indian. And essentially what they were trying to do was make Indigenous people assimilate to being like settlers and colonial people, so that they wouldn't have to care for them, and they could take them off the list of being an Indian and being a citizen of Canada. So, you know, that's the basis of the way this country was set up. So that is the first section, the first thing that I am learning about the Indian Act, and I will check in again when I've read more. Today is Saturday, November 14th, and I just wanted to check in about my IndigAthon reading. So I am over halfway in 21 Things You May Not Know About the Indian Act by Bob Joseph, and this is laid out in a very clear and easy to follow manner. The beginning section of the book goes through the 21 things and lists them, and then also puts them kind of into context for the readers, so you can see there. And then the second part is strategies for improving the Indigenous and Canadian government relationship. So dismantling the Indian Act, essentially. So yeah, it's really, really concise, and I'm enjoying it. I think it's laid out in a way that makes it very accessible for anyone who is needing clarification on this information. And I have started Celia's Song by Maracle. And this book is quite something because it has this fluidity to the writing. You're moving between the consciousness of a mink, and he talks in the first person, and he's a shapeshifter who is observing several different realities at the same time, and Celia, who is a human shapeshifter, so she can, see things essentially. I think shapeshifting in this story kind of means that you can be transported to different areas to be a witness, and it doesn't require you physically being there. So that's really interesting. And Celia kind of has this perception that she is somehow mentally unstable because of this ability that she has. And it's very, it has a lot of folklore references, and moves very fluidly between the past and present as well. So I'm not very far in at all. I'm only 27 pages in, but it's very atmospheric, and I'm really interested to see where it goes and how it develops further. And I do really love, Maracle's writing is very poetic, very lyrical in its descriptions of nature, so that's right up my alley. So I will check in again when I have gotten further into Celia's Song, and when I have probably finished 21 Things About the Indian Act. So just wanted to check in about IndigAthon reading. I finished 21 Things You May Not Know About the Indian Act by Bob Joseph, and that was a 5-star read for me. I think his execution of that book was done so concisely, so informative, and there's some really good points about, and discussion points about, what white Canadian settlers can do to work towards reconciliation. And it's a great book. It's got a lot of great, important information. So I thought it was brilliantly done, and I definitely will be using it as a reference for myself and as a reference for my work going forward. I am about halfway in Celia's Song by Maracle, and this book it's so interesting, and interesting seems like a kind of word that doesn't really do it justice. If you love good nature writing, it is in here. If you like the weaving of myth with real life plot lines about real people living their lives, and just it's hard to talk about because I have never really read a book that is able to tick all these boxes in a novel. And this, I love being taken on a journey in a book that moves you into different parts of your brain and gives you different feelings as you move through it. So you're not just, you know, on one plot line or one perspective, but it all flows together in this very organic way. It's very organic storytelling. I feel like stories have branches, and so that's what this book is doing. It's like you're leading up a tree through the main trunk, and then you're branching off, and there's all these littler branches that take you in these little directions, but you still come back to that main tree as well. It's still all connected, but it's just this beautiful wide branched tree of a story, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping to finish this weekend, and then my IndigAthon reading will be wrapped up. So this book is definitely scratching an itch that I had for something absorbing. Obviously, living on the West Coast gives me a strong tie to this plot line and the nature that is talked about in this story, but I think anyone from any part of the world would be able to appreciate it. It's that well written. So I will check in again when I'm finished this. Hey everybody, so I just wanted to wrap up IndigAthon. I finished Celia's song by Maracle yesterday, and I think I'm gonna have a hard time articulating this book and making any kind of coherent review, but I loved it. And what I loved about it is that it was about Indigenous ways of approaching things, of approaching life, of existing, and taking the remnants of a culture that has been ravaged by colonialism and pulling it together, and how that's not a uniform thing. So within a village, there's going to be some people that approach connecting with their roots in one way, and some people that approach it in another way. There's not one way that's right, but that as a community, there has to be agency in that choice, and there has to be intention and freedom to make those choices. So I think that's a huge part of this book. There's beautiful nature writing in here, just absolutely stunning. There is simple truth, there are complex truths, there are beautiful examples of the power of family and the power of connecting to your ancestors. There's a spiritual element. There's also a ghostly element. It's just an amazingly crafted example of a story. And I think that if you started this book and you were struggling a bit in the beginning has more snippets as it's building the story. And you just kind of have to keep moving through them, even though they may not always feel as linear as you're hoping for. And then by the time you get midway, the plot really deepens into this very specific place with this very specific intention, and then it finishes off very strongly in that way. So, you know, this book has, it's got so much in it, and it's hard to break it down into a cohesive review, but I will definitely read everything that Lee Maracle has ever written. I know that for sure. There is a book that came before this one called Raven Song. My library doesn't have that one, and so I got this one. But there were people that said you don't really have to have read Raven Song to read Celia's song, and they kind of feed off each other, but it's a different time period in some of these characters' lives. So I will definitely be getting that book and reading it as well. But, and I guess I can't really speak to if I should have read Raven Song first, but I definitely connected to these characters and felt that I had enough of an understanding of their backstory to appreciate the story without having read the previous book about them. And yeah, that is my IndigAthon reading. This is the last week of November, and I hope you've all had a great IndigAthon reading experience. And I'm hoping to get in one more. I did also watch a film, and I plan to watch another film or TV show or something, probably a film actually. I'm going to watch a documentary film about the land rights activists that are working across British Columbia right now to try to stop a lot of fossil fuel production, such as pipelines, etc., from being built in this province on their land. And so that's the other media that I will be consuming for IndigAthon. And I want to thank Michelle and Brody for putting this together. And I think that this is just so helpful for people to be able to integrate books. I think, you know, when you're making a TBR, you try to be as inclusive as you can in your TBR, but there's always room for an improvement on that. And so this has really helped me with, you know, thinking through my TBR better. So I will be back again soon with another video. Thank you so much for watching.